means it actually has rifling in the barrel. It shoots a conical bullet. Looks like this. It's a 450 grain bullet on top of 60 grains of black powder. It's actually sighted out to 1,000 yards. So for you hunter guys, that's a long range. For you non-hunter guys, that's 10 football fields. You know, and if you get hit by something this big around at 800 yards or less, it's going to penetrate skin and do damage. So if you got hit in the chest with this size bullet, pretty much it's going to take you out. But this is the primary weapon during the Civil War. It weighs 9.5 pounds, 10.5 with a bayonet. So it's a pretty serious weapon. It can be affixed with a bayonet. It doesn't have to live on it, but the bayonet comes off and on. With the bayonet, of course, you had to carry around all day. That's right. Of course, this is a nice way to stack them when you ain't got to mess with them. Soldier wore during the war. So the French army was the best looking army of the day. So this is all patterned after the French gear, French kepi, military type hat. Of course, probably with that in the South and in Georgia, when it rains, all that water comes right down your neck and gets all in your coat, and now you're soaking wet. So they went to a slouch hat, which is what he has, which, you know, gives you much more rain cover and opening.
Thank you.
Now, face. Ready. Aim. Fire. Recover arms. About face. Order arms. In place rest. Alright? We're here. We've been here all day. Feel
So why don't you describe your dress for me?
Okay.
We can start from the coat itself, even, and, you know, because you got like an overcoat right there, a short coat.
This is an overcoat. It's kind of like a bodice. It has a slight stay in it right here, so that it helps keep the form at the top. And it's usually worn over your undershirt, your shirt.
Yeah, right.
And then you have an undershirt over it. Then you have your corset cover on. Then you have your corset. Under your corset you have your undershirt, which is your chemise. It usually goes down to about the knee. Then the bottom half you have your drawers, your stockings. Then you have your thin skirt, which is kind of tight, right around the legs, so you can't take big steps. Then you have your hoop. Then you have your petticoat, and then you have your overskirt. And usually you wear about 3 or 4 layers of underskirts. And then you have your boots. And then of course you never wore your hair down, but I'm breaking the rules because my hair's like really long.
Well, what about the bonnet? It looks pretty ornate.
The bonnet it's very big. Some women wore shorter bonnets or...
Let's turn to the side when we get a profile. Yeah, now see, that looks pretty cool.
Less detailed. This one is a very detailed bonnet. It's a deep set. The reason we wore our bonnets was to help shade our faces, because the only things that you could show during the daylight hours were your face and your hands on occasion. Your hands usually were covered with gloves because everyone wanted you to have a very, very pale complexion. The paler you were, the more desirable you were.
Well, not as strict as the Muslim community, but you know.
Not as strict. Of course, at the later nights, that's when you could wear the lower necks and the decollage so that you could dance and show off. But depending on age range and also your status in society depicted
During the Napoleonic period.
And we thought it was hot for the soldiers, their uniforms, but I imagine you guys are sweating it too. With all the wool and the bonnets and the, you know, all the clothes.
We had our ways to keep cool. The period correct underdoors actually are split so that it's easier to use the restroom. So when you stand, you can kind of like wave your skirt a little bit so that you can get a breeze.
Oh, I see.
But it does get a little
There was
warm.
ways to cope with the problems.
Exactly. Of course, during the daylight hours, about noon, around 1-ish, when it's the hottest parts of the day, during the summers, they would go in and actually take naps or strip down, and they'd cool off in the houses because the houses had such high ceilings it stayed cooler there.
Well, now that I've gotten older, I like naps. You know,
Exactly.
in the afternoon.
So I mean, there were ways and times that you would go out in public. It was better to call socially in the morning. That's when you would go visit your friends.
Oh.
So.
It's just a matter of scheduling.